have another special guest. I know I keep saying this, guys, but I'm overwhelmed with how many people are agreeing to come on the channel, so I'm extremely happy with that. Today, we have Chris Ryan from YouTube. He's currently at 189,000 subscribers, fantastic subscriber base, TaylorMade ambassador. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Alex, great to be here. Thanks for inviting me on. It's really interesting to see how everyone's getting a bit more creative with the situation with their content.
I know. We're all trying to think of on our feet, aren't we, at the minute?
Absolutely, yeah. It's great. I mean, looking across social media, it's great. We're seeing challenges and people hitting balls in their back garden and lives, and it's great. It's nice to see, a little bit of different content out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've actually just set something up in my garden this afternoon. I was clearing out my garage, one of the jobs that my girlfriend put to me, one of the lovely jobs she put to me, I should say, and found a golf net. So something good came out of it. And so I've put that up today. The only problem with it is it's so loud when you're hitting it. The neighbours are like thinking a gun's gone off in the corner.
So you have to go knock on everyone's door and just tell them what's happening.
But I'm sorry, guys. I'm just hitting a few golf balls. Is that all right?
Yeah, I just let them know that if any balls end up in their garden, to drop them back to your house.
Yeah. Oh, God. Just hopefully not anyway. So first question, and I actually, this has come from Instagram. So guys, if you are watching now live on YouTube and you want to ask Chris a question, please just comment down below and I'll ask him as many questions as we can get through. We're here for half an hour and we'll hopefully answer all of your questions. So the first one's come from Instagram, and I always think this is quite an interesting kind of topic. As a golf coach, do you teach a set method, or would you be a coach who tries to make the best of what the player's got?
So I'd answer that by saying no, I don't teach a set method. But by the same token, we basically play in a game of club, kick ball, and ball goes somewhere. So we're kind of basing all what we do on physics. And the physics don't change from a beginner to a high handicap to a mid handicap to a low handicap to a ball player. We're all playing by the same rules, if you like. So there's no method, but it's all based around what do we need to change in impact method. I'm always relating everything back to impact. Okay.
So, for example, I mean, most people who are watching this, and one of the most searched topics is either over the top, slice, etc., etc. So would you potentially, if you've got a player with massively left path and a big slice, would you sort of give that lesson similar to a high handicap to, say, a mid handicap player?
So the way I approach a golf lesson is I'd like to have a little bit of chat with the golfer first, find out what they're in the past, what are their ambitions and their goals, what are their ball flights, and then I'd like to see him hit a few shots and I use TrackMan when I coach, and start to gather a little bit of data about why the ball's flying the way it's flying. So if it's a slice, then figuring out what is the path, what is the face, what is the strike, what is the attack, all these kind of things. So try and build a picture of what's happening at impact. I would then look at the golf swing through video to see, well, what is in that golf swing that's making the golf club do that to the ball? And then it's a case of saying, well, what do I need to change within that golf swing? Go through is the same for any lesson. It's always looking at impact, and then what is the golfer doing in their golf swing which creates those impacts. And so, for a golfer who potentially, swings left and he's coming over the top, it's really starting to look at what I call the first point of breakdown. So when does the sequence start to go poor? Is it something that's set up? Is it their grip? Is it their backswing? Is it their takeaway? Whatever it may be. And so it's all really about, for me, I look at the golf swing second. I want to know what is the club doing to the ball, because then when I look at the golf swing, I'm looking at the golf swing for something. I'm looking for why that happens. Now, I think a lot of people video their golf swing. They're not really perfectly understanding their impacts, and they just look at the golf swing and pull out what they don't like the look of.
Yeah.
But there might be 3 or 4 things that they don't like the look of, but those aren't really influencing the thing that needs to change. So the goal isn't to look at your golf swing and pull out what you don't like. It's to pull out what are the things that are going to move the needle the most. What are those things that are going to change the delivery of the golf club to give you, or give the golfer the desired outcome, really. And the way I like to say it to a golfer is, and we've heard coaches say this in the past, that golf ball, know who's holding the club.
Yeah.
There's very, very rarely ever a case where you can't get a slicer to hit straight shots. There's different ways you have to do it. Some golfers, you have to change their stance and you have to change the ball position, you have to change the grip. But once you can, change the impact, you can change the ball flight. And there's very rarely a golfer who can't change impact. It's just understanding what you need to do.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the thing that I get, and you touched on it there, every golfer that comes to a lesson will first go, "Oh, I don't like the look of that. I don't like the look of this." Well, there's plenty of good golfers who stand on that European Tour driving range and PGA Tour driving range. They'd probably be saying the same thing to their own golf. I don't quite like the look of it. But I think the thing that people produce a repeatable sequence to give me a ball flight.
Absolutely, and I think what I'm doing a lot more now, and this is really through technology, is if I'm seeing someone in my studio hit shots, every single shot they're hitting, I'm recording ball flight, club data, and video from 2 different angles. So then they drop the handicap and they're just saying to me they can't hit it any better. I can highlight those swings, I can star those swings. And so we've got a record of when they were playing their best golf. And then what you do 6 months down the line, when that golfer comes to you and says, I just can't hit it, I don't know where the ball's going, it's all over the place. I don't look at that golf and say, okay, what would I change? I look at it relative to, well, what were you doing 6 months ago when you were hitting it great? And as you say, they might come in and say, I've just videoed it, my takeaway is really weird. And you look back and you say, well, 6 months ago when you were playing the best golf of your life, your takeaway was still weird. So that's not the issue. That's not the issue. And so technology is enabling us to almost build each golfer's individual blueprints of what works for them. Because as you say, these golfers can come in and say, I'm doing something weird in my takeaway. And you go, well, do you know what? You absolutely flushed it and you're in that same takeaway. So that's not the problem. What is the problem is X, Y, Z or whatever it may be.
Sure. No, I really like that, and about starring their perfect swing or their blueprint as such. I like that idea. I really like that idea.
Yeah, and then you can just work them back to that, really. And the longer I work with a golfer, the less instruction they're ever getting, because for me, a golfer's only going to have 1, 2, maybe 3 real issues. Once you fix those, it's just maintenance. It's just giving them the drills to keep their swing in shape. When it starts to drift out, you bring them back to what they were doing before. You work on strategy, you work on short game, and it's really just the lessons for me change over time. The first lesson is going to be some swing changes, but if I've been working with someone for a year, 2 years, very often it's just always just trending them back towards their blueprints and what makes them play their best golf.
So do you like to, when people imagine you've done your lesson, what do you like people to leave with? Is it swing thoughts? Is it drills? Is it both? Is it a plan?
It just depends on where they are in their journey. For me, I think golfers go through the same journey, whether you're a beginner, mid-handicap or a new golfer. So if it's a first lesson, really I'm just concerned with, I want them to understand what they need to change and why. I want them to be able to demonstrate to me what they need to do without ball. And then I need to be able to see a golf swing which is either moving or trending towards the right thing. That's all I'm really concerned about. Once we start to get towards the end of that swing change and they're starting to become more comfortable with it, then I'm going to get that golfer to leave with more transitional drills. So drills that are going to help them take it to the golf course. What happens when I try to hit a knockdown shot? What happens when the ball's above my feet? And so for me, it depends on where you are in your journey. But I think it's important for he comes back next week and goes, I couldn't play on the course. It was strange on the course. We've got to let them know that they're not at that point yet. They're not trying to take those skills to the course. They're just trying to become more familiar with those skills, hit some golf balls, trying to move in a different way. And the performance at some point has got to be addressed, but it's not that early in the process. And so, I had a clip on my computer. I've lost it and I'm desperate to get it back. I could probably put it off YouTube. And it was a clip of Tiger. I'm going back back in the day, big oversized shirt, baggy trousers, yeah. 90s.
You can probably watch him on Shelley's Wonderful World of Golf at the moment, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And he's talking about shortening his swing, shortening his arm swing. And he was talking about a drill he does with Butch, and the interviewer says, okay, so are you taking that to the course yet? And he says, yeah, I'm just about comfortable on the course making the swing. And he says, well, how long have you been working on that? He says, coming up to about 14 months. So he's, the best golfer that's ever walked the planet, it's taken him 14 months to shorten his golf swing. And so how many times do we see a golfer, they're coming for a lesson and then they kind of want to perform on the course next week. And it's we all want to do that, don't get me wrong. It's natural to want to perform. But I think we have to lay out as coaches that if someone's going to make a dedicated swing change, it's going to take a bit of time. And there's going to be a process of, drills and then transitional skills and then kind of figuring out how to fit your new ball flight around the course and all these kind of things. There's different stages to ultimately changing your swing and scoring better.
Yeah, I think not the problem with coaching as such and people. I think it's definitely changing now. There's a lot of good information out on YouTube, and people are understanding that it's not just you go to a golf coach because I've got a problem now. You go to a golf coach, like you said, to go on a journey and go from A to B. Whereas I think in the past, it's almost been a reactive thing. Oh God, I'm playing bad. I need a golf lesson.
Yeah, and I think what I've learned, I'd say maybe the way I've changed my. And so, you're going to have those clients who say, do you know what, let's work on my golf game. I want to get as good as I can. Brilliant. Let's go through the process. But then equally, you get the golfer who turns up on a Thursday, says, I've got a medal on a Saturday and I can't hit it.
Yeah.
And he wants a quick fix. So you might give him a technically wrong grip, but it might help him form. And then he'll shoot okay, and he'll come back 6 months' time just before he's got another big competition. And so I think as a coach, you have to have different hats on. You have to have your quick fix hat. You have to have your long-term fix. And it's all about, for me, I'm really trying to listen to the customer now and what do they want. And one of the things I've changed, I'm trying to change, is I'm trying to change, and I try and say this as much as I can in any kind of bio I do or anything like that. My job isn't necessarily to make golfers play better. My job is to make people enjoy being on the course more.
Yeah.
And, we always, as an industry, we force a score upon someone. What's your handicap? What do you want your handicap to be? What do you want your score to be?
Yeah.
I've got, I can reel off 20 or 30 golfers who slice the ball. They hate slicing the ball, and we've now got them to draw the ball. And they are happy as you can ever be. They're so happy because they get this high draw and they love hitting that draw.
Yeah.
They're not shooting any lower scores. The handicap's not dropped at all.
But they're enjoying it a lot more.
Because they hate that slice and they want to hit a draw. And so, it's not for me to say that shouldn't be what you work on. You will need to work on this. It's kind of some golfers just will get more enjoyment if they play in a 4-ball every weekend and they suddenly start hitting it longer than their 3 mates. For some, that increases the enjoyment. It might not necessarily drop the scores, but I'm really big into what can I do with this golfer to help them enjoy their time at the course more.
Yeah.
And I think I see more people coming to me with emotional feelings rather than a score. So, you get the golfer who says, I play a 15 or I get out to 12, but I'm seeing a lot more of, what can I do for you? I just can't get out of bunkers. I'm really embarrassed when I get in a bunker. And they're not attaching a score to it. They're just saying, I'm really not enjoying my golf because when I get in a bunker, I can't get out. And if I can get them to get out of the bunker first time, they enjoy their golf more. Now, it might translate to a lower score, but that's not what they're measuring it as. They're measuring it as an emotional attachment of, I'm not enjoying my golf because I do this. I'm not enjoying my golf because I'm hitting it 30 yards short and playing putts. And don't get wrong, some people come in and say, I want to drop my handicap. But a lot of the time, it's just actually what can we do as coaches to help this golfer enjoy that 4 hours on the course a little bit more.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think 9 times out of 10, if someone enjoys it more, they not necessarily will improve the scores, but they might improve the scores. They've got a better chance of improving the scores if they're enjoying it. So the next question, again on a coaching point of view, it's come from Instagram. So since we're all stuck at home, they say, Chris, anything I can do, or what would you recommend I can do from home to improve my golf swing?
Yeah, so this is obviously a pretty
wide
question. Everyone is kind of stuck at home. Not really got the opportunities to practice swinging the driver in the living room. So I would be looking at trying to, for me, how the body moves in the golf swing is massive. Not many golfers I see who move the body as well as I'd like to. If the body doesn't move well, we're going to see the club doing some things that we don't necessarily want it to do. So the problem I think you have with a golfer is that they might move the body incorrectly. Let's say they've got this kind of big lateral lower body sway off the ball. And you might show them on camera and they might go, yeah, I can see that. And you might show them an example of someone who's it better. They go, yeah, I get that. But they're still not really good at doing it because they've never done that, And when we're looking at what the body does, every single body part's moving. Your shoulders, your hips, your legs, your knees, everything's moving. And so for that golfer to coordinate that movement is difficult. So I'd be telling golfers that, when you're at home, use this opportunity to stand in front of a reflection mirror, get yourself in posture, put your hands across your shoulders, and just start to understand how you can move your body in different ways. And when I say that, I'm not really suggesting it has to be perfect, but try and make a lateral shift off the ball. Try and make a lateral shift towards the ball. Try and make a turn where your head moves off the ball. Try and make a turn where you don't ship any pressure. Just start to get used to basically having control of your own body.
Yeah, and not reacting to ball flight as well.
yeah, I mean, as coaches, what do we spend our time doing on a daily basis? We spend our time demonstrating core movements.
Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty sure if I said to you, demonstrate me a certain goal swing, you could do it. But for a golfer who's maybe a higher to mid handicap, they're not particularly good at that. If you said demonstrate a reverse pivot, they can't do it. And it's not because they don't necessarily know what it looks like. It's just that they've never really been that good at moving their body into different positions. I use this analogy all the time and people laugh at me, but if you put me and you on Strictly Come Dancing,
I'm laughing now, don't
I? Not sure why that would happen, but week one would be terrible because we're trying to coordinate what our leg does and what our arm does and what our hips are doing, and would be terrible. But the more we kept trying to move our body and controlling our body, you start to get a little bit better at it. And then towards week 6, week 7, week 8, when a dance instructor says, I want you to do this, you can do it. And it's, and that's a little bit like the golf swing. If we're trying to get golfers to move differently, they've got to have spent a little bit of time understanding how their body moves and, what they have to do to get their hips to go towards the target and away from the target, and what is a good hip turn and too much hip turn, and, all these kind of things I think can grow a golfer's awareness.
Yeah, I really like that. And this is a great time not to stand there, because I think a lot of people who potentially come for a lesson, they work on the stuff, and they go away and straight away on the range themselves, and they're reacting to ball flight. Well, this is not working. That's not working. And they get too emotionally attached to that ball flight. So now just understanding how the body moves, it's a great tip for everybody at home to actually just forget ball flight, understand what my body's doing.
Absolutely. I might have just dropped a spoiler there that we're going on Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. When all this is all blown over, me and Chris, BBC One, Saturday night.
Exactly.
The next question comes from YouTube, from TA Golf. He says, Chris, love your channel. Love watching all your tips. Who's your next major winner when we return to normality?
I mean, I look at recent performances, and I can't see past Rory. He's been at that point where he's not playing his best, and he's finishing top 5 every week and still in there with a shout. For me, at the moment, I think if everyone in the world plays their best golf, he wins. And I think he's probably at that point where he can not play his best golf to still win. And he's got the game where it doesn't really matter whether it's the Masters or the Open or the PGA. He can win around any golf course. He's just not quite got it over the line this year. But I have to say, Rory, he's playing so well at the moment.
Yeah, I like him as a pick. And I was saying this to someone the other day. Do you think, obviously, there's more important things in the world than playing the Masters under this current situation, but do you think him going to number 1, he looked like he was trending in a really good direction. Do you think this potentially could have been his year to complete that career Grand Slam?
I think he started this year really well. I think he was swinging it great. He did kind of what Rory's done over the last few years, really. He was just playing tournaments and having one round, which was just letting him down a little bit. But like I say, he was still finishing top 5. But I think, someone like Rory, when he's playing that well and he's just struggling to put 4 rounds together, the momentum of the season and playing tournament after tournament, I think he'd have just got it all together. And I would have seen him winning 2 majors this year, plus maybe some WGCs. I just think he's playing that well at the moment. But who knows what we're actually going to get in this year, whether we'll get any majors or anything.
Just hope we get something, hopefully.
Yeah, towards the back end of the year, I think we'll have something. It's just whether they try and squeeze the Masters back in or whether they just bench that until next year.
I was thinking about this the other day, and someone was saying it. You have all these guys who have just come straight up from Challenge Tour. Obviously, the top 15 guys are probably riding the peak of a wave. They want to get straight into the thick of the season. You think, right, hit the ground running, and then it's like, stop. And
I know. I mean, like you say, it's we obviously think of the big guys that we all know, but yeah, there's so many golfers who would have been their first year on tour, and I don't know what's going to happen, whether they're going to play a shorter season or whether they're just going to scrap the rankings altogether. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, how these governing bodies are seeing golf and how they're going to try and play it out for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Oh, I hope we're allowed back out soon anyway. So the next question again comes live on YouTube. It's from Matt Clark. He says he's got a put out. What drills do you recommend to help improve consistency of strike?
Right. Well, if you've got a put out, I would move anything around you that you can break, because they are the most frustrating things in the world.
Oh my God, I know.
Like that one, but your frustration can really start to boil when you start to hit a few putts on that. Yeah, I mean, with putting is really one of the things you can do inside. You don't need a huge amount of space. I would say if he's working on strike, you kind of want to be looking at two directions, heel to toe and high to low. So one of the things you can do is put like a small coin to the side of the ball, and you should be able to hit the ball, miss the coin. So that's really just making sure that the putter's arriving at the board just a couple of millimeters above the ground, because that's going to affect strike, heel to toe. And then just get creative. Just use anything. So maybe a couple of glasses that you've got in the cupboard, and just position them literally just slightly wider than the toe of the putter. So you set the putter behind the ball, position the glasses on the toe and the heel, and then just practice making some strokes between those two glasses. I mean, you can obviously make that as easy or as difficult as you want. Really, you probably want to start with maybe the width of your little finger between the glasses and the putter, and then just start to move them a little bit closer as you progress. But I would be, for indoor draws like that, I'd be looking to track it and give yourself some goals rather than just hitting a few putts which potentially you can get bored. I'd position those glasses heel and toe and just say, right, can I do 5 in a row without hitting the glasses? If you can, tomorrow you're going to try and do 10. You can try and do 15, you're going to try and do 20. And just record it and just say you've always got something you're working towards. It's amazing how much more people practice when they're trying to achieve something rather than just hitting a few putts. Yeah,
I really like that one. And would you suggest potentially going at different distances if you're using the putt out, maybe from 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, work it back?
I use the putt out for about 4 inches. I can't go any further away. I can't go any further away than that and hold it. So yeah, I mean, when you're looking at strike, you'd always want to starting relatively slow, relatively short, and then you can build up. So, but if you are tracking your practice, the distance the ball kind of needs to be pretty constant every time. So go for something like 6 feet, and then work on that, and then you can always go bring the glasses in closer or make the putt a bit longer to make it a little bit more difficult.
Perfect. So there you go, Matt. There's a nice little home drill for Matt and everybody at home. Put it down, 2 glasses either side, make them as narrow and as hard as you want. But Chris is a really good one there. You've got to make sure you track your practice because then you can actually see if you're improving. Next question is all about equipment, actually. I know we've probably not had much time to test it, but you're TaylorMade ambassador. What's the TaylorMade driver like in 2020?
I went down to Wentworth for the fitting. And what was really interesting was there was, and the fitter said there was more of a difference this year between the Sim and the Sim Max than there was last year between the M5, M6. So I was actually caught a little bit between the two. So the Sim just spun it a little bit too low, and then the Sim Max actually just kicked spin up a little bit too high. So we actually went more with the Sim driver, 10.5, but just knocked that down on one setting to keep it lower, and then put the hazardous smoke in there, and it was just perfect. It was really, really good. I mean, for me, it's always been the spin really. I tend to hit a little bit at the heel, which can increase the spin too much. So it's a little bit human error as well. But yeah, I've got that in dialed in now, and it's awesome. But I haven't really been on the course with it really. By the time it got through and got delivered, it was all kind of locked out. So yeah. I've only really hit it in practice.
I just got my new driver and literally had one round with it, and then it's gone. I'm like, I don't dare hit it in the garden either. I'm just worried about it potentially going everywhere.
Yeah, not so in practice. The driver.
So next question. I've asked everybody who's gone on the show so far about this, and I think it's quite a poignant topic going forwards with the European Tour, PGA Tour. What do you think of the Premier League of golf? And do you think it could go ahead?
So I think with most things in life and golf, I think I'm pretty open-minded, and I'm not someone who makes a pretty quick judgment call. I mean, I was seeing all over social media people saying, "Oh, terrible, no, not a good idea." Whereas I don't think people really know what it is or what it's about. And it's one of those things where in 50 years' time, it could be the way that we watch golf, and it could be the best thing that ever happened to golf. Whether the Premier Golf League is the right thing, I'm not sure, but I certainly think there's too much golf on. And I think let's say the European Tour, for example, there's almost golf every week, and I would find myself flicking on the Golf European Tour and not really seeing anyone on the leaderboard that I recognise, and then sort of turning off again. Now, let's say the European Tour had 15 events in the year. you're probably going to get pretty strong fields for those 15 events, and it's going to engage people a little bit more. So, and I think one thing I don't like about golf, and potentially the Premier Golf League could change this, was, let's say you've got a big event in European Tour, let's say it's the BMW at Wentworth. You can have, Rory McIlroy playing in Europe, and you can have Tiger Woods playing in America, and you pick their tour. And I just think, you wouldn't see that in any of the sports. You wouldn't see Roger Federer playing in one tournament and Djokovic playing in another tournament across the other side of the world. It just wouldn't happen. So I do think golf needs something. Whether the Premier Golf League is that answer, I don't know. But I'd like to learn a little bit more about it before I make a judgment call. I think it's really all going to depend on the players. If the players want it, it seems like it'll go ahead. What will be potentially interesting conversation is if you get 2 to 3 of the top 10 not agreeing and the rest of them agreeing. I don't know how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, but Brooks and Rory being the two that have kind of firstly said, "Oh, I'm not playing. I'm not interested," kind of thing. So that's quite a big statement. But then Tiger and others are sort of sitting on the fence with it.
See, I think if I was Rory, if I was Brooks, I would be a little bit cautious about what I was saying, because let's say Rory and Brooks come out and say it's not for me, which they kind of have. Let's say, for argument's sake, the top 50 in the world, the other 48 go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got the top 48 players playing in this tour event, and you got Rory and Brooks playing the PGA Tour against people that they don't know. Surely they're going to be like, this isn't right. I need to, So I just think it really depends on who they can sign up. Imagine if Rory, the only person who says no, and he's left on the PGA Tour with people that no one's heard of, and he's winning every week. I don't know. It's just interesting how it's going to play out.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one. The thing that I worry about, and I sort of mentioned this, is how would that affect lower tours? Because I was saying I would much prefer, I think there needs to be something where we do bring the both tours together apart from just in majors, because like you were saying, it's a really good point in terms of the tennis. All the top players play on the same event, on the same venue. But how do you think that's going to, would that affect like Challenge Tour? Would that affect like how we bring our talent through?
Yeah. I mean, it's bound to, isn't it? Really. I mean, what if this went ahead? My understanding would be they're going to get the top 40 or 50 in the world. That's basically going to take every single bit of focus in the golf industry. No one's going to be bothered about European Tour, PGA Tour, Challenge Tour, Corn Ferry Tour. Everything's going to be focused on this top event. So you'd sort of see that the sponsorship would potentially start to diminish on those tours, and I think it would have a negative effect. So I think that certainly has to be looked at, because we have to protect the game right from the top down to the beginner and everyone in between.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting. I think especially over this, it could be a time for them to obviously reevaluate, change up, and potentially be a brand new tour for us all to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will end up that way. I just don't know whether this is
the one,
the sort of vehicle to do it. But I do think that for me, the ultimate goal would be to have one world tour and potentially less events, because what you kind of want as a golf fan is you want to look at a tournament, you want to turn that tournament on, you want to watch the best players. That's no different to football or cricket or tennis or rugby. You want to watch the best players, and the more you saturate the year with 45 events, you're just not going to get Rory playing the events. He's going to pick and choose, and if the ones that he pick and chooses are different to what Brooks chooses, different to what Tiger chooses, that's when you get these kind of disjointed fields where some aren't as strong as others. And as a golf fan, we can't wait until the first big event of the year, can we? And all the big boys are out, and you get to watch them, and it's great. And I guess if we could have that 15 to 20 times a year, that's got to be good for the golfing world, I think.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be good for actually people picking up golf in general, like starting golf.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think with any sport, and I kind of heard this from the guy talking about the World Golf Tour, whatever it's called, need more than 15 to 20 people that everyone knows.
Yeah.
You're looking at golf. They're kind of saying you don't need 150 players. You just need the top 50 that everyone knows. And as long as you've got those top 50, you got in.
Yeah. Because if you think about any other sport, tennis, for example, you probably don't know about anybody outside maybe the top 20, top 25. You just watch them.
Well, Exactly, this is it. You know, you've got your tennis players. Most people could reel off a few tennis players, men's and women's game. You look. The only slight difference will be, I guess, football and the American sports when you've got leagues. But when you look at individual sports, you know, 70 people playing in this event, you know, you're not going to be bothered about 150 of them. You just, you know, there's the top 20 that you want to see play, and that's just natural. We all want to see the best tennis players, the best golfers, the best, you know, of anything.
Yeah. Okay. Final 2 questions for you, Chris. Next one is training aid. What's your favorite training aid of all time?
Favorite training aid of all time? Great question. I mean, I would say rather than, it's the one that I find myself reaching for.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry, Chris.
The
just lost you there. Could you say that again?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I think that the training that I find myself reaching for more than anything else is that.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say, you know, I wouldn't have said it's my favourite. It's just the one I find tends to help more golfers, because it tends to help with how the golfer moves their wrists, and that directly relates to how they control the club face, and that's obviously pretty influential down and impact for the golf ball. So I find myself using the hanger probably more than anything else during my.
It's. I think it's got to be up there with one of mine as well. If I'm honest, I really like the hanger.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, the more you use it, you know, you've got more uses you've got. It's great for short game. It's great for bunker play. It's great for chipping. I mean, I tend to use it more for full.
Hello.
Hello, I'm still here.
Yeah, Chris.
Keep losing you now.
Sorry, I keep losing you for some reason. So what were you saying again? You use it for short game, but you most prefer it for long game?
Well, I find myself using it more for long.
Okay.
Lob shots, chipping, because how the wrists move are, you know, pretty influential in all shots, whatever you're doing. So, yeah, it's got so many different uses. It's quite a universal training aid, good for everything. Okay,
final question. I sort of asked you this before we came on air. Fantasy golfer. Now, a lot of people have picked the same person for driving, so I won't preempt what you're going to pick there. You've got to pick fantasy golfer. So we're talking a driver swing, we're talking an iron swing, chipping and pitching swing, and then the putting action. What's your fantasy golfer and what it's looking like?
Okay. So I'm going to try and potentially for the driver not go for the obvious one. So for I'm guessing everyone meant Rory, didn't they?
Yeah, everybody so far. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to go. So I kind of started watching golf when he was kind of world number 1, and just a phenomenal driver of the golf ball. So I'm going to have Greg Norman as my driver.
Yep. I like that.
The iron player, it's got to be Tiger. Just we pick Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
Just thought he was a phenomenal iron player. Distance control was just he was always pin high. So and obviously that little drop fade he had. So Tiger or Monty. I'm trying to go with ones that may be less obvious.
And then short game.
Rumford.
Yeah.
Brett Rumford.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal. I've seen him hit shots. I've never seen anyone have that much control over a golf ball and make it do whatever he wanted to do. So.
Yeah, I've seen him do some stuff on Instagram recently.
Putter would be a tricky one. Yeah, he's phenomenal on Instagram. He's doing some great things. So yeah, he'd be my short game. And then for putting, I would have to go. Who would I go for? So I'm going to go Brown.
Sorry, Chris. What was that? We just lost you there again.
So sorry.
No,
putting Brad Faxon.
Brad Faxon. So we've gone driving Ben Hogan, then either Tiger or Monty, and then I've gone. Who do we go for short game again?
Brett Rumford.
Brett Rumford, and then Brad Faxon, and Brad Faxon for putting.
Yes.
That I like them.
That would be a major winner right there.
They are totally out the box from what I was expecting. So I like that. No, I like the creativity. Well done. So, guys, thank you very much for watching tonight's live show. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Chris.
Absolute pleasure. Great to be involved, and thanks for asking me.
And guys, we'll see you tomorrow night where we have another special guest on. Thank you for the support, and see you tomorrow.